So yeah, wonderful to be here with all of you, and a deeply heartfelt welcome to everyone. Whether you've been here all week, whether you're dropping into the session today for the first time this week, or at all, all really, really welcome. And let's keep going with our exploration. The session today will include, as usual, a reflection and then a guided practice of about half an hour, and then time for questions. And as I think I did a promotion yesterday for the questions, I'm going to do it again today. They've been so rich and valuable this week that I really recommend that if you can stay for them, or catch up later with the recording. So through this week, we've been exploring ways of attending to our experience, ways of paying attention, or ways of relating that nourish well-being. Yeah. And they, have been meeting our experience with kindness, bringing a sense of appreciation, kindness to the body, self-compassion, expanded compassion towards others, and really, like, the thing we want to be interested in at this point more and more is to see, what happens to experience when I meet it in this way? How does this shape our experience? And hopefully, actually it's not only hopefully, because it came up in the questions and reflections yesterday at the end of the session, that we can start to see really clearly for ourselves that there's well-being that comes when we meet experience in this way. So there were different examples yesterday, people sharing, just meeting the inner cynic with an attitude of acceptance and kindness, or meeting a busy mind with that attitude shifted, something, And when I say kindness, I also include curiosity, really important. A kind of relaxing the habitual ways of fighting against experience, of struggling with experience, opens up something. When we meet it with curiosity, with kindness, with tenderness, the experience changes, and very, very beautifully some of the time. Sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's really a lot. So the experience changes, and it changes in particular ways. So there's less suffering. I'm interested in that. There's often an opening to depth and to beauty, and there's opening of possibilities in experience. So we can relate to this. We can see this as a nourishment of well-being, a liberation, a freeing up of well-being to come through. When we stop struggling, when we meet experience in a different way, what we can see happening is, this well-being that's there in the system is free to move, to be expressed, and to be known. And this is true in the moment. Again, yesterday, some really beautiful examples being shared around that. Just in the moment, it's such a huge difference of accepting that there's a busy mind, not struggling with it, still remaining curious, kind, tender, compassionate with it, and then some brightness appearing. So huge impact on the moment, and really inviting us when this happens to sit with that, really kind of let that touch us and move us and impress itself on our being. But this is also really impactful and meaningful over time. Because well-being, as we practice in this way, as we have these, insights into the liberation of well-being, the freeing up of well-being, the arising, the nourishment of well-being, through the way we're attending to our experience, well-being becomes more accessible, both intentionally and spontaneously. We can, just like I said here at the beginning, isn't it interesting that we have these technical issues, and then the mind goes to the frustration with that, but we can just intentionally bring it back to a sense of like, wow, isn't it amazing that most of the time this works, and that we can have the possibility to be here together. So we can attune, or like we've been saying through the week, finding a place of refuge in the body, with a sense of appreciation and kindness to the body, or to our intention. So we can bring that way of looking intentionally, but it also arises more and more spontaneously. And that's definitely something I can say I've really noticed as a fruit of practice, that just naturally the mind goes there because there's a faith that has grown in the availability of well-being, and in the fact that it's possible to look a certain way at our experience and to access it. And so spontaneously will arise, the mind will just incline towards that. And so the more the heart mind, we train it, we practice to incline it, to turn it towards non-enmity, non-ill will, non-harming, non-self-centeredness, or the kind of other side of that, the goodwill, the friendship, the compassion, the care, the tenderness, the unselfish joy, or the equanimity, the steadiness. The more we incline to that, the more well-being becomes available for us. And just going to pause a minute because I noticed that Kevin wrote that the sound is a bit rough. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. And this quote from the Buddha that we used yesterday, which, I feel really encompasses the exploration today, which is, a mind filled with any of the Brahma Viharas is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. And we can just notice and feel how that touches us. I'm going to say it again because people are checking the sounds. It sounds like for some people the sound is rough and for others it's fine. So probably worth playing with that on your end, if you can. Or working with the mind. It's always an option for us. So I'm going to say the quote again because inviting you to feel how it touches you. A mind filled with any of the Brahma Viharas. With joy, with compassion, with metta, goodwill, with equanimity, is abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. And just to really feel how that how that touches you, how that moves you. And this is a well-being, really kind of want to go into it a little bit, that isn't only equanimous. It's not just that steadiness and peacefulness of equanimity. It's actually an equanimity that is beautiful, deeply responsive and joyful. Has a joy and a tenderness to it. And I've perhaps given this example before, but in the month that I spent in Palestine and Israel just recently, that sense of deep well-being, from being where I wanted to be, clear with my intentions, working for peace, and for friendship and for connection and for the alleviation of suffering. And that brings such a deep well-being that it was sometimes embarrassing. People would ask me how I was, and it still is ongoing because people know I've just come back, and expecting for me to say things are really difficult. And of course they are for me, but also I'm deeply well. Yeah? And that's the kind of well-being that we're talking about. When we center our lives in what matters to us, which will vary between us, and when we find ways to honor that and embody that, and that will also vary between us, what those ways are, a deep well-being beyond conditions becomes possible for us. And this is what the teachings are pointing to. And it has so much to do with the practice and the practice that we've been doing this week. There's so much to do with that. Cultivating, practicing, developing these ways of looking, of attending to experience and to others and to ourselves, to the whole world, with compassion, with tenderness, with appreciative, non-selfish joy, with metta and goodwill, and that depth and beauty of responsive equanimity opens up for us. So let's practice. And if you're not already in a posture that's supportive for your practice, then please find it. And if you are, then it's an opportunity to check in more fully and deeply with it. Making any adjustments. That are needed, that are helpful, so body is as supported, stable and steady as possible. Inviting the awareness into the body. Seeing if we can gently already incline towards appreciation, tenderness, and awareness as we settle into the body, as we bring awareness more deeply into the body. Inviting it to gather, to collect. And the sensations of contact between the body and that which supports the body. Checking in with a balance of uprightness and ease, or alignment and ease in the body. And inviting awareness to softly open and expand and fill the whole space of the body. Taking time with this if you need to. And getting a sense of the whole body here. Filled with awareness. Remembering the intention of kindness, practice as a movement of kindness, of care, tenderness. Letting that suffuse, fill the space of awareness and the space of the body. So we're grounded and we're open. Awareness spread to the whole body. Tension in the body, or if the body's not a helpful place, then one of the sense doors, recommending the hearing. And opening to feel all that is here in this moment. Beautiful and the challenging. Can all that is here in this moment be met with appreciation, with tenderness, with care? And so we're going to just keep doing this again and again, over and over, bathing the body or the hearing in tenderness and appreciation, kindness, whatever way works for you. Over and over, opening and bathing in appreciation and tenderness. So let's continue with some silence. Gently noticing what you notice without judgment, with curiosity. Bringing the attention to this body once more. Everything it has known, everything it will know. All of it held and bathed in tenderness and appreciation. It's helpful using images or phrases. That warmth of the tenderness, that aliveness of the appreciation, that wish to appreciate what is beautiful, what is going well, and that wish to be held in tenderness when times are tough. So opening to this and bathing the body with these intentions, bathing the whole being with this tenderness and this appreciation. Letting the whole space of the body fill. Compassion with tenderness. Appreciative joy, whatever is relevant for you right now. Noticing the impact on well-being as you do this. over and over, meeting experience with care, appreciation and tenderness, letting the whole space of the body fill with an appropriate response. Tenderness, appreciation, care. Soak that in and feel any well-being that comes with this way of being with experience. Inviting yourself also to expand. Might expand the sense of the body or the sense of awareness wider. Or radiate. That tenderness, that compassion, that appreciation. Or the well-being that arises as we practice in this way. Radiate it out, share it out. Include more beings as appropriate for you in this goodness. Again, if phrases or images are helpful, use them. You might feel the awareness expand like a mist or a soft rain of goodness across the land, across the world. Nourishing, caring for, appreciating and bringing appreciation into the hearts of all. Holding everyone, everything in tenderness. Maybe you may use phrases as a helpful vehicle to connect, to feel that expansion from I to we. Whichever way you're practicing, being curious, interested to notice any well-being that arises, any well-being that's available. It might be quiet. We want to be kind of in tune with it, notice it, and give it our attention. Perhaps bringing appreciation to the well-being as well. Bathing in it, absorbing it in. Letting it touch us and fill the space of awareness. And then sharing it out, giving it out, radiating out over and over again. Any well-being arising from the practice, gently sensed and felt through tenderness, through remembrance, through compassion and care, through appreciation. Any well-being that arises, giving it our attention, letting it fill, soak, bathe the being, taking it in, letting it touch us, and then radiating it out, sharing it out, giving it out. More and more well-being as we turn attention to it, as we give it away, more and more, as we share it with all beings in all directions. Let's keep practicing in this way, again and again, over and over. Whatever goodness is available in your experience right now, whether it's the tenderness of compassion, whether it's the subtle joy of appreciation, whether it's deep well-being. Taking it in and sharing it out, again and again, over and over. May any goodness, any fruits of our practice, individually and together as a community, May these fruits be shared, be offered and dedicated to the well-being of all beings, to the well-being of all beings, and to the well-being of the earth. So see if it's possible to keep that thread going, that thread of sensitivity to well-being as you open the eyes, as you change posture, if you choose to do so. And that thread perhaps also of sharing that well-being out, of constantly giving it out, you know, it's not really giving away, it's just giving it out, it actually comes back. Or enhances the well-being even more. Before we open to questions and reflections, I want to say a few words about dana. And some of you like to call Fridays Dana Day. I think every day is Dana Day, but I understand that sense of giving at the end of the week, and a real kind of sense of reminder. You know, dana is a practice of well-being. It was really taught that way by the Buddha, and you know, I think we can feel in our own experience sharing what we have, sharing what is beneficial for us with others is such a beautiful form of giving and such a support to our own well-being. So exploring this today, you know, having a sense of what you appreciate about this community, about this form, about Sangha Life's offering to us, having a sense of appreciation for all the work that goes behind the scenes, and feeling, you know, the possibility to support this to be here, support this to happen, support this to nourish others as you yourself are nourished. And you know, these sessions are a gift that we're receiving from others who've offered dana before, and we have the opportunity to participate with this. So, you know, and of course, including your circumstances. So the dana is there whether you can actually give in financial terms or not. And really feeling into that as fully as you can, and feeling the joy and the well-being that comes with giving. And whatever you offer this week will be shared between Sangha Live for the running costs of the platform and these sessions, and with myself for the teachings, and it's very, very gratefully received. So I'm going to put the link to the Sangha Live donation page there. That's to give dana for these sessions. Donations to Palestine. Let me just find this in my notes. Someone's just asking. And I'm going to tell you a dana story about Palestine because you mentioned it. I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and then I promise I'll give you time for questions and reflections, but you can stop writing them in the chat. I was speaking to a really good friend of mine yesterday, Palestinian living in the West Bank, and he's a former mayor of his village, and the present mayor is relatively young. He's in his mid-30s or early 30s, and so my friend is kind of mentoring him. They work a lot together. He supports him, and he was, which is an act of dana, of course, and he was telling me that I'm smiling, this is actually sad, that at the moment there's many families in the village which, well, there's many families that are struggling because people have not been able to work for 4 months, and some of them have gotten to the stage where they can't charge their electricity, and they do that. They charge at the municipalities. The mayor is aware of it, and so when that happens, the mayor pays from his own pocket. That's what he's been doing to charge their cards so that they have electricity at home, especially now when it's cold, it's winter. And it's gotten to a stage where it's difficult for the mayor to afford also personally. So they were consulting together and decided to collect money together in the village from those who, like my friend who's also not working, but had a relatively well-paid job. So he's got more resources, more reserves than other families. So they're collecting together, yeah, so that they can support each other, which is a form of dana. And I think just the beauty of that, yeah, of seeing just, even in really difficult conditions, when you think, not working, I'm going to hold on to what I have, this deep understanding of the beauty and the power of giving and of our mutuality, mutual responsibility for each other, so that nobody goes cold and doesn't have to sit in the dark at this time. Very, very moving for me, and I hope that kind of touches your hearts as well. Okay, questions. I'm dropping this question in from someone from the Sangha called Ellen, who posted it in the forums. When there's very serious illness, fear is very powerful. What practice can hold us in these darkest of times? Okay, and I'm asking this for someone who's not able to reach out for themselves right now. Yeah, so any of the practices that we did this week could be helpful, particularly a sense of metta, of compassion, of tenderness towards the experience of fear, towards the fearfulness, or towards the illness. Can be really helpful. It would be easier to kind of respond if I had more of a sense of what's going on for the person. But I think just bringing that sense of holding that fearfulness, that pain, and the impact of the illness with compassion and with tenderness. And also the remembering that there's others who know this experience right now, that you're not alone, can be really, I know from my experience of working with people living with illness and with kind of terminal illness as well, that the sense of you're not alone on this path, this pilgrimage between birth and death, as one of my teachers used to say. You're not alone. There's others who are also going through this right now, and there's others who've gone through it over time, and to allow that to hold us in tenderness and in care as well. Yes. Noticing a block of self-doubt that seems to be able to take up all the space and leave little room for acceptance. Cooling the warmth I try to bring. Just sitting with it, and would appreciate your guidance. Yes, doubt, that good friend of our minds. Such a clear, beautiful description, Penny. Thank you. That sense of the block, of that heaviness of the self-doubt that does not leave much space. Yeah, it permeates everything. This is why it's such a powerful, image. I would say, what you're doing, sitting with it, and the little space there is for acceptance, bringing that in. Sometimes, for some of us, using language or imagery can be helpful. So say if you feel, there's this block, if, you're using an image there, so I'm going to go with it. That block of self-doubt is an image, but there's a little bit of space, and we see that little bit of space around. That can be one way. Another can be just softening, opening the space to more. So sometimes working with sounds can be helpful because we open the awareness, so the space grows, and that doubt is just there sitting in that space. And maybe compassion would be more even potent here than acceptance. Just, this is what doubt feels like. It's heavy, it's all consuming, it's difficult. Yeah, this can be one way we can work with it. Another radically different way would be to just open to something that you can appreciate. Yeah. And so just that capacity to sit with experience, or maybe if you're opening to sound and there's something like bird song around, you think, that was here, but there's also bird song, and you tune your attention to that. So you're resting with that as well. Can also be helpful. And the last thing I'll say, interest. Another possibility is to say, okay, here's self-doubt. This is what it feels like. Interest in it. What does it feel like? What does it feel like in the body? What does it feel like in the mind? What emotions come with it? As much as possible through the body, but you can also gently open up to the emotions and the frequency of it, emotionally and mentally, in the thoughts, not the content of the thoughts, but the frequency, the energy of them. So I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you, and see what that does. So a few options there, and hopefully they'll be helpful. So a question from Jackie. Sometimes when I offer myself or others kindness, I feel contraction, agitation, and an underlying sense of resentment. I'm exploring this and working on loosening the grip of these unhelpful feelings. Any extra advice would be grateful. Beautiful again would be gratefully received. Sorry, I didn't read it. Beautiful again, just the clarity of seeing what's going on. And this does happen. This is partly why these practices are also insightful, because often we practice them and we're inclining to one thing and what we see is the opposite. The contraction where the heart is closed, resentment when we want to tune into kindness. This is where, sometimes I imagine this as these layers of experience. And can I meet the resentment with compassion? And again, a little bit like with the self-doubt, we can bring the sense of we widen the circle. We say, okay, I can hold this and bathe the resentment with compassion. Give it compassion, just like I would maybe to a cross child who's having a temper moment, just that. Would I can I just bring that compassion to that? Can I hold it in a bath, in a pond, in a lake of tenderness, that resentment, and not push it away, not feel like it's getting in the way, but actually attend to that. So rather than this being a problem, it becomes an opportunity. So this resentment is also worthy of our compassion and our tenderness, and can I just open out to that? And a little bit what I said with the question about the ill health, sometimes remembering this isn't personal, and actually this also relates back to the doubt. This is a human experience. Resentment is a human state of mind, and sometimes that helps to unhook and say, can I meet it with tenderness? As that. So hopefully that is helpful, but really remembering this is an opportunity rather than a problem. It doesn't have to get in the way. It can become what we bring the compassion and the tenderness and the curiosity towards. So beautiful sharing there from Madeline. Thank you. I just birthed the grief which came up painfully through my throat and came out in a roar and tears. So much love and allowing was present to have this release and care. Beautiful. And that sense of well-being that comes through that movement. Really wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. A lot of time, it's too much to hold on in one sitting, the Israeli hostages and the people of Gaza. It's an observation, I think, from Rivka. So don't try to do both. if it's too much to do both or to do either, go to what is possible. Yeah, go to what is possible and trust your intention. You know that you know where you're heading, but you don't have to push, you know, to get there, and you don't have to feel like what is possible right now isn't enough, in a sense of not good enough. It's what's possible right now. Yeah? And so some sittings you may, you know, hold in mind those Israeli hostages and their families and all the distress of that situation. And then another time you might hold in heart and mind the suffering of the people in Gaza. And you're allowed to do that. And it's okay to do that if that's, you know, what is available and works. You know, that appropriateness, which I kind of touched on very lightly at the beginning. Yeah, it's just to see, oh, what's appropriate? What's appropriate? Yeah? That's what we're interested in, and that is onward leading. So, you know, that sense of I want to hold both, and you are holding both, just not at the same time. That's so much already, just to be able to hold, you know, for a little bit of time, you know, this enormous suffering. So, yeah, feel that and appreciate that about yourself. The clarity of the seeing, the understanding what's overwhelming, then the possibility to have discernment and see what's appropriate. All right, I see we have another question sneaking in. It's 8 o'clock UK time. So we're at our hour. I will stay and respond to the last question. But for those of you who need to go, deep gratitude, deep appreciation for your practice, your being here, and your questions and your listening. The world needs us, and each of you is a precious jewel in the world. Appreciate yourselves for what you're doing and remember that it matters. So go well, everyone. I think I'm back in April at some point. But I'm going to go back to the question I missed and wish all of you well. Okay. At the end of last year, a very deep relationship with a wonderful person ended, more from their choice. In meditation, I feel a permanent underlying feeling that something is not all right and the wish to be with her again. Right now, my answer to that feeling is to focus on the body and to try to tend to my heart. Do you have any other suggestions? Yeah, very beautiful. Again, beautiful reflection and beautiful way of working with it. Yeah, I think bathing that sense of pain with tenderness, also appreciating the love that's still there. And sometimes we can go kind of trace back from a sense of there's that love and there's that wish for connection. You know, what is here? Yeah, there's that wish for connection. There's that wish for that intimacy. And see if we can loosen the fact that it has to be with this person and actually to feel more the beauty, the resourcing of that love and that wish for connection itself, and to honor that and let that lead you. So some of the work is what you're doing is working with the grief. A year is not, you know, grief has no time frames, you know, so working with the grief, working with the loss, all of that, attending to you with gentleness. And then when it's to yourself and to your experience and being in the body, when it's possible, just bringing to the sense of, there's a need for connection here. There's a deep love here. Can I loosen the way it kind of clenches on, focuses on this particular person and just feel it? Yeah? And let that be something onward leading, and find the places of connection and of love that are available to you in your life right now. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you so much, everyone, and go well. And I will see you in April, inshallah. Take care.